Ladies and gentlemen, self-sufficiency is often misunderstood in today's world. Many assume it means isolation or that it signals a lack of connection with others. But true self-sufficiency is a discipline, a mindset, and a foundation. It is the ability to rely on oneself for strength, stability, and direction, regardless of who stands with you or who chooses to walk away. When a woman understands this, she no longer craves validation from others. She no longer waits for someone to tell her who she is or what she's worth. This form of strength doesn't come from isolation, but from intentional introspection. It comes from understanding that people around us will have opinions, biases, and judgments. A self-sufficient woman does not ignore these voices. Rather, she listens, evaluates, and then chooses the path that resonates with her truth. She builds her foundation on her principles, her values, and her understanding of her purpose. She learns that when she depends on herself, she is stronger, more resilient, and less shaken by the temporary presence or absence of others. Self-sufficiency also builds a unique kind of courage. It teaches a woman that she can stand firm and face life's challenges without leaning heavily on others for support. She understands that others may come and go, circumstances may shift, and relationships may change, but her inner strength remains constant. Self-sufficiency is not prideful independence, it's the assurance that, with or without help, she will find a way to move forward. This does not mean she shuns companionship or refuses assistance, but it does mean that her sense of peace, security, and strength is not easily shaken. She has become her own foundation. A self-sufficient woman also cultivates her skills, her mind, and her spirit, realizing that in every moment she has the tools within her to meet her own needs. She knows that as she invests in herself, she grows into a person who is equipped, empowered, and unwavering. Her confidence does not come from external affirmation, but from the knowledge that she has built herself from within. She knows that her journey, her success, and her peace do not depend on others. She is like a tree planted by rivers of water, deeply rooted and stable, standing tall no matter what winds come her way. Self-sufficiency is her inner strength, her core, and her foundation, and it remains unshaken regardless of the seasons of life. When a woman aligns with her true purpose, she begins a journey few will understand. Purpose is powerful. It is the inner call that pulls her toward a destination unique to her. But answering the call can set her apart from the crowd, placing her on paths that others may not see or comprehend. She finds herself walking alone, not because she wants to be isolated, but because the road she is on is one that requires courage, clarity, and conviction. Not everyone will accompany her on this journey, and not everyone can understand the dedication it demands. Purpose often requires sacrifices that others might find puzzling. She may find herself saying no more often than yes, turning down offers, invitations, and activities that don't align with the vision she holds. Her focus sharpens, her time becomes more precious, and her choices become more deliberate. People may question her, misinterpret her intentions, or even judge her, but she understands that purpose has a way of refining not only her life, but also her relationships. She realizes that some people cannot go where she is headed, and though it may be painful, she learns to let them go, trusting that her journey requires her undivided attention. Walking alone teaches her resilience, patience, and unwavering faith. There are moments of doubt and times when the silence feels overwhelming, but it is in these moments that she deepens her understanding of her purpose. She learns to trust her intuition, to listen to the whispers of her heart, and to find peace in solitude. In this space, her purpose becomes her compass, guiding her forward even when the road is dimly lit. This solitude becomes a powerful space where she clarifies her vision, hones her skills, and cultivates the strength she needs to fulfill her calling. As she journeys on, she becomes more aware of her purpose's magnitude and responsibility. She realizes that her purpose is not just for herself, but is meant to serve a greater good. This awareness brings a weight that few can carry with her, and she accepts that. She knows that the sacrifices, the solitude, and the discipline are all part of the price of a life filled with meaning. Walking alone is a natural consequence of pursuing something that demands her whole heart, her focus, and her dedication. The journey to purpose is rarely crowded, and as she walks, she sheds distractions, fears, and the need for approval. With every step, she discovers new depths of strength within herself. She finds peace in knowing that her path may be lonely, but it is hers, uniquely crafted for her growth and the impact she was meant to have. A woman who truly knows her worth possesses a rare and powerful clarity. She understands her value, her strengths, and the unique qualities that make her irreplaceable. This understanding is not superficial, it runs deep, cultivated through experiences, challenges, and moments of self-reflection. She has walked through seasons where her worth was questioned, sometimes by others, and sometimes even by herself. But each trial has only solidified her belief in who she is and what she deserves. Knowing her worth is a result of facing herself, learning her strengths and weaknesses, and emerging with a conviction that is unshakable. This woman does not compromise because she recognizes that compromising on her worth diminishes her identity. She knows that the relationships, opportunities, and situations she accepts are a reflection of how she values herself. She doesn't lower her standards or bend her principles to fit into spaces that don't honor her. When she senses that something does not align with her values or with the dignity she holds for herself, she is willing to walk away. This doesn't come from a place of arrogance, but from a deep-seated respect for herself and the journey that has shaped her. She knows that every time she refuses to compromise, she reaffirms her worth to herself and to the world around her. This strength to never compromise is a daily commitment. It's not about rigidly holding on to ideals, but about being true to her essence, even when the world tries to convince her otherwise. She faces pressures from society, from loved ones, and sometimes even from within to bend, to yield, or to accept less than she deserves. But she has learned to stand firm, to assert her boundaries, and to respect herself enough to hold to them. This woman understands that compromising might seem easier in the moment, but in the long run, it costs more than she is willing to pay. She sees each decision as an investment in herself, each no as a step closer to the life and relationships that are worthy of her. A woman who knows her worth does not compromise because she has come to realize that the life she builds is an extension of her values. She chooses relationships that respect her, work that fulfills her, and environments that support her growth. She refuses to let temporary discomfort or external pressure dictate her choices. Instead, she has the patience to wait, the strength to say no, and the wisdom to recognize that true fulfillment lies on the other side of self-respect. She knows that compromising may bring short-term acceptance or approval, but it ultimately chips away at her authenticity. In understanding her worth, she has learned to protect it fiercely. She guards her heart, her time, and her energy because she knows that these are precious. She has no interest in spaces or relationships that cannot see, respect, or reciprocate her value. Her refusal to compromise is not about placing herself above others, it's about recognizing the sacredness of who she is. She has come to value her peace, her joy, and her growth above the fleeting satisfaction of fitting in or pleasing others. She does not chase approval or validation because she has already validated herself. This woman lives from a place of self-fulfillment, and as a result, she becomes a force of inspiration and strength. Knowing her worth and refusing to compromise shapes every area of her life. She attracts people who respect her, opportunities that align with her purpose, and experiences that elevate her. She is intentional, purposeful, and clear about what she allows into her life. Her self-worth is not up for negotiation, and because of this, she lives with a freedom that few understand. By refusing to compromise, she claims her place in the world unapologetically, with confidence and grace. She knows that her worth is priceless and as such remains unwavering in her commitment to honor it fully. When a woman sets her sights on her purpose, her focus becomes a force to be reckoned with. She understands the power of a mind fixed on a goal, and she nurtures that focus with discipline and determination. Her life becomes aligned around what she is committed to achieving, and distractions have little sway over her. This kind of focus is not easily attained. It is the result of countless moments where she has had to turn down what was convenient, easy, or tempting in favor of what truly matters to her. She has trained herself to let go of temporary comforts and superficial rewards to keep her gaze locked on the vision she carries within. This focus makes her a rare breed. In a world filled with noise, opinions, and pressures, she stands apart because she has chosen to tune out what doesn't serve her. She's not interested in drama, gossip, or trivial pursuits. Her days are filled with intention. Each decision, each task, each relationship is chosen with the purpose of moving her closer to her goals. Her focus becomes a filter, allowing only what is meaningful and necessary to enter her life. She protects her mind and her energy as if they were precious resources, knowing that every bit of focus invested in the right direction brings her one step closer to where she's meant to be. Her focus is unbreakable because it is rooted in a deep understanding of what she is capable of achieving. She has a vision of the future that compels her to keep going, even when the journey gets difficult. She has already mentally prepared herself for the setbacks, the failures, and the obstacles she might face, and she uses these moments to sharpen her focus rather than weaken it. Each challenge is an opportunity for growth, a chance to prove her commitment to herself. Her resilience strengthens her focus, turning it into something solid and unwavering. She knows that success requires a level of dedication that many are not willing to give, and she has made peace with that. This unbreakable focus doesn't mean she doesn't experience doubt or frustration. Rather, it means she doesn't allow those moments to derail her. She has cultivated a mental toughness that keeps her grounded. When doubt creeps in, she reminds herself of the path she's on and the reasons she started in the first place. She doesn't let fear or uncertainty cloud her vision. Instead, she chooses to confront them, allowing each experience to clarify her purpose even more. She is driven not by a need to prove herself to others, but by a desire to reach her potential and live out her purpose fully. This keeps her on course no matter what storms arise around her. Her focus is also fueled by a strong sense of self-discipline. She has learned to manage her time, her resources, and her mind with precision. Every day she makes choices that reinforce her commitment to her goals, building habits that support her journey. She wakes up with a plan and she approaches each day with an attitude of purpose. Her discipline isn't something she relies on only when she feels motivated. It's a part of her identity. She doesn't allow herself to waver because she knows that each moment of weakness chips away at the progress she has made. Her focus is the result of a carefully crafted life, designed with one thing in mind: success on her own terms. This unbreakable focus also serves as a shield, keeping her steady amid external pressures. She has faced criticism, doubts, and sometimes even discouragement from those around her. But her mind is set. She understands that the opinions of others are just that, opinions. They don't have the power to dictate her path unless she allows them to. Her focus becomes her sanctuary, a place where she can retreat, refuel, and remember why she started. She draws strength from within, from the fire of her purpose. And it is this inner clarity that makes her focus so resilient. In the end, her unbreakable focus transforms her life. She becomes someone who cannot be easily swayed, someone who stands firmly rooted in her goals, with a mind fixed on the destination. She is relentless, disciplined, and patient, knowing that every step, no matter how small, is progress. Her focus is her power. And through it, she creates a life that reflects her highest ambitions, her deepest values, and her truest potential. A woman who knows the value of her peace understands the importance of boundaries. She has learned that peace is not merely the absence of chaos, but a sacred space she has fought to create within herself, one that deserves to be guarded. Setting boundaries is her way of maintaining this inner calm, a way of honoring her need for mental, emotional, and spiritual balance. She knows that boundaries aren't selfish. They are a means of protecting the core of who she is. With boundaries in place, she can move through life with a sense of ease and purpose, keeping unnecessary disruptions at bay. Each boundary she sets reflects a commitment to her own well-being, her own growth, and her own peace. Establishing boundaries has required courage. She has had to learn to say no to situations and people who may not understand her need for space or her limits. Some may see her boundaries as walls, as signs that she is distant or unapproachable, but she knows they are essential to her peace. Boundaries allow her to preserve her energy, to keep her spirit intact, and to focus on what truly matters to her. In protecting her peace, she protects her ability to be present and engage with those she loves and in the pursuits that fulfill her. She knows that without boundaries, she would be spread thin, constantly drained, and unable to show up as her best self. Her boundaries are not rigid or harsh. They are carefully placed markers that help her define what is acceptable and what is not. She has no desire to live in conflict or to cut herself off from the world. Instead, her boundaries help her interact with others from a place of respect, understanding, and mutual care. She's aware that people may try to test these limits, either consciously or unconsciously, but her commitment to her peace is stronger than her need for approval. When she feels her peace being threatened, she reassesses, recenters, and adjusts her boundaries as needed. She understands that peace is a dynamic state, one that requires her constant attention and care. Through her boundaries, she reclaims ownership of her time and energy. She knows that life is filled with demands, and if she's not mindful, she can quickly become overwhelmed, lost in other people's expectations and needs. Boundaries allow her to prioritize herself without guilt, to create space for rest, for reflection, and for renewal. She's learned that she doesn't have to be everything to everyone, that her worth is not measured by her willingness to sacrifice herself. By honoring her own needs, she creates a life that is balanced, fulfilling, and deeply respectful of her own humanity. Boundaries give her clarity and freedom. She is no longer swayed by the pull of every opinion, expectation, or request. She is able to discern what is aligned with her values and what is not. She surrounds herself with relationships that respect her boundaries, relationships that uplift rather than drain her. She doesn't feel obligated to explain or defend her boundaries because she understands that they are a personal choice, a reflection of her journey. In time, she has come to see her boundaries as an expression of her self-worth, as a way of saying, I deserve peace, and I will protect it. Protecting her peace through boundaries has also taught her resilience. She's aware that boundaries may not be popular or always understood by others, but she stands by them because she knows that her peace is priceless. In the past, she may have struggled to set limits, afraid of disappointing others or being perceived as difficult. But through experience, she has learned that true peace cannot coexist with the constant need to please. She has let go of that need, and in doing so has embraced a life where her peace is prioritized above all else. Her boundaries remind her that her peace is not something she must earn or negotiate for. It is a right, one that she exercises boldly and confidently. In this way, boundaries become her sanctuary. They are the foundation of her strength, the source of her serenity, and the reason she can move through life with grace. Each boundary she sets reinforces her commitment to herself, a reminder that her peace is worth every bit of protection. Through boundaries, she creates a life that honors her own rhythms, her own joys, and her own needs. It is through these boundaries that she nurtures her peace, cherishes her individuality, and safeguards the life she has so carefully built. A woman who learns to trust her own voice discovers an ally that no one else can provide. She recognizes that her inner voice is a compass, a source of wisdom that holds the key to her true self. In a world where voices often try to drown out her own voices of society, family, or even well-meaning friends, she realizes that the voice she carries within has always known what's best for her. It has guided her in moments of confusion, warned her in times of uncertainty, and uplifted her in seasons of despair. Her voice, once perhaps quiet or hesitant, has grown in clarity and strength, becoming her closest friend, her unwavering partner in this journey of life. To reach this point, she has had to spend time with herself, to sit in silence and listen closely to her own thoughts, her dreams, her fears. She's learned that understanding her own voice requires a level of honesty and self-acceptance that isn't always easy to reach. At first, she might have doubted this voice, wondering if it was too soft, too bold, too unconventional, or too different. But with each challenge she has come to realize that this voice is hers and hers alone, unique and irreplaceable. It holds her truth, her values, and her vision for her life, and through it, she finds an anchor. Her voice becomes her closest friend because it is unfiltered and deeply authentic. When she listens to it, she isn't seeking approval or validation. She isn't trying to fit a mold or satisfy expectations. Instead, she's honoring what she truly feels, thinks, and believes. This voice encourages her to be true to herself, to live a life that aligns with her own principles, not the shifting ideals of others. In her voice, she finds reassurance, a calm reminder that she is enough as she is. It tells her that her path doesn't need to look like anyone else's, that her journey is hers alone to navigate and embrace. This voice has been with her in every quiet moment, in the spaces where she has had to make difficult decisions or stand up for herself. It has strengthened her through heartbreak, disappointment, and struggle, reminding her of her resilience. Her voice tells her to keep going, to trust that there is a purpose in her experiences. It is her truest guide, her most honest critic, and her most loyal friend. When the world around her feels uncertain, she knows she can always turn inward, always rely on her own voice to find the clarity she needs. This friendship with herself is empowering, for it gives her a sense of independence, a knowledge that she doesn't need to look outside for direction. In her voice, she finds a constant reminder of her worth and her capabilities. It affirms her strengths, celebrates her victories, and urges her to learn from her missteps. Her voice reminds her of who she is, especially in moments when she is tempted to forget or conform. With time, she has come to cherish this voice as a reflection of her spirit, a part of herself that no one can take away. This friendship she has cultivated with her own voice is one of trust. She trusts that her voice will never lead her astray as long as she listens honestly and openly. This voice becomes her closest friend because it speaks with a language only she understands. It resonates with her dreams, her goals, and her ambitions, encouraging her to reach higher, to aim further, to believe in the possibilities that lie ahead. She has come to rely on it to sift through doubts, to filter out noise, and to discern what aligns with her purpose. Her voice has become her safe space, the one place where she can be completely herself, without judgment or fear. In this relationship with her own voice, she finds the courage to speak her truth and to act in ways that reflect her true character. As her closest friend, her voice is also her protector. It warns her when something feels wrong, when she's heading in a direction that doesn't serve her. It nudges her when she's being too hard on herself, when she's overlooking her own needs in favor of others. This voice understands her in ways that no one else can, seeing past her defenses to the vulnerable parts of her heart. It reminds her to have compassion for herself, to be gentle and forgiving, to recognize that she's a work in progress. This friendship is not always easy, for her voice can be blunt, urging her to confront hard truths and challenging her to grow. But she knows that it only speaks out of love and respect for who she is. In a world that often encourages people to silence their inner voices, she treasures hers. Her voice has become her source of strength, a wellspring of insight that guides her with a steady hand. This friendship allows her to stand firm in her beliefs, to pursue her passions, and to live with purpose. She knows that as long as she stays connected to this voice, she will never lose her way, no matter where life takes her. A woman who has made God her anchor knows a peace that defies all understanding, a strength that cannot be shaken. She recognizes that while the world may shift around her, people may come and go, and circumstances may rise and fall, there is a foundation in her life that stands unmovable. God alone becomes her anchor, the source of her resilience and the holder of her spirit. She knows that with him, she has a steady hand to hold through every storm, a constant presence guiding her steps, and a love that is boundless and unchanging. This anchor isn't something she has come to depend on lightly. Life has shown her that relying solely on her own strength is not enough. She has faced moments that left her feeling depleted, times when everything familiar seemed to fall away. and she was left searching for something solid, something true. In these times, she found herself reaching for something beyond the physical, something eternal. She found that God alone could fill the voids, steady her heart, and bring a sense of purpose that nothing else could provide. Through him, she discovered a certainty and a security that the world simply cannot offer. As her anchor, God grounds her when life's waves threaten to pull her under. She has come to trust in his timing and his ways, even when she doesn't fully understand them. In moments of doubt, her faith becomes her refuge, reminding her that she is never alone. She understands that even in her most isolated hours, he is there, holding her steady, whispering peace to her soul. When others may not understand her journey, God provides the assurance she needs, offering a perspective that lifts her above her immediate trials and reminds her of the greater picture. Making God her anchor has transformed the way she navigates life. She no longer feels the need to grasp at every fleeting thing for stability because she has already found her foundation. She is no longer swayed by the changing tides of opinion, the pressures of comparison, or the pull of material desires. Her anchor has given her the strength to focus on what truly matters and to let go of what doesn't serve her higher purpose. This alignment has brought her freedom, a freedom to live authentically, to walk in her purpose, and to build her life around values that are timeless. This anchor in God has taught her resilience. Life's storms have no power over her, not because they are any less fierce, but because her faith is deeper. She has learned to embrace the uncertainties of life with a sense of trust, knowing that her journey is part of a divine plan. Even when the road ahead seems unclear, she rests in the knowledge that she is exactly where she is meant to be. She draws strength from her connection with God, finding peace in the midst of chaos and hope in the face of despair. Her heart has learned to weather disappointment, to rise above discouragement, and to trust in the beauty of God's plan. In God, she has found not only her anchor, but also her constant source of wisdom and guidance. When she needs direction, she turns to him, and through prayer, she feels her path illuminated. She no longer relies on her own limited understanding because she knows that God's vision for her life is greater than anything she could imagine. She seeks his counsel, finding that he always points her toward growth, purpose, and love. With God as her anchor, she feels free to let go of the illusion of control, knowing that his will is greater, his plan is perfect, and his love for her is endless. This anchoring in God has deepened her patience and perseverance. She no longer rushes through life trying to make everything happen in her timing, but instead learns to wait, to trust, and to let things unfold. She has come to understand that God's timing is rarely the same as hers, yet it is always right. With this anchor, she is no longer tossed about by impatience or frustration. She can wait with hope, knowing that what is meant for her will find its way to her in the right season. Her heart is at peace in the waiting, anchored in the assurance that all things will work together for her good. Through this anchor, she has learned to surrender, to release her burdens, and to find rest in God's presence. She no longer carries the weight of her worries alone. Instead, she has learned to lay them at his feet. She knows that he cares deeply for her, that he sees her struggles, and that he walks with her through every trial. Her soul finds rest in his surrender, a quiet strength that fills her as she trusts in his provision. This anchor in God brings her a sense of wholeness, an understanding that her worth is not defined by her accomplishments or the opinions of others, but by the love of the one who created her. With God as her anchor, she navigates life with a sense of purpose and clarity. She no longer feels lost or aimless because she knows her steps are ordered by a higher power. Her decisions are no longer driven by fear or uncertainty, but by faith and conviction. She walks boldly, knowing that whatever lies ahead, God has already prepared a way for her. She moves forward with courage, not because she is fearless, but because she knows that her foundation is unshakable. Her heart is secure, her spirit is strong, and her hope is steadfast, all because she has chosen to anchor her life in God.